Ladies and gentlemen, I've never seen anybody give the prosecution a motive as to why a murder went down and why Keefe D's story about Diddy allegedly hiring him to assassinate Suge Knight and Tupac won't get Diddy arrested. Ladies and gentlemen, let's get into some of this straight game.
Life is like some cards. It's not what you dealt, but how you play it. Play each situation correctly. I remember they used to laugh at a brother.
Welcome back, guys. Welcome back. It's your boy Delray Richardson, platinum artist, platinum songwriter, Straight Game TV. Thank you for tuning in. I appreciate your time. Do me a favor, click on the thumbs up button. Also subscribe to the channel. And if you would like to be one of the first people notified when I drop some of this straight game, please do me a favor and click on what appears to be a little bell notification right below this video. I'm gonna get right into it, ladies and gentlemen. As we approach, like I said, we are 98 days from New Year's, if you will. And as we approach going into 2026 already, it seemed like the year went by so fast. October 3rd, we got the Diddy sentencing. And the reason why it hit me, and so I really thought about it, and I had to do this video. So Diddy's being sentenced on October 3rd, right? And so the Tupac murder case, at first Keefe D, basically when he was being represented by Carl Arnold, his story was he wasn't in Vegas. They can't put him in Vegas. They don't have the murder weapon. They don't have the white Cadillac. They don't have anything. They can't put him in Las Vegas. This is when he went on ABC News and did an interview from in prison. And he said all of these things and basically implicated Reggie the Rat Wright Jr. As the mastermind, right? So since then, Carl Arnold is no longer on the case. Keefe D has new representation, 2 new high-profile lawyers. And I guess their legal strategy now is that we're going back to the original story. The original story is that Sean P. Diddy Combs hired Keefe D to assassinate Suge Knight and Tupac Shakur based on the situation, the beef or whatever, disenchantment, based on the fact that Tupac had hit him up, and among other reasons, if you will, right? But Keefe D did say that Tupac's scathing diss song, Hit 'Em Up, was a part of why Sean P. Diddy Combs allegedly wanted to be rid of Suge Knight and Tupac Shakur. So now that, you know, they've switched back to this story, I wanted to focus on something because, like I said, I think a lot of people really miss this when talking about this situation, right? So like I said, so today, ladies and gentlemen, we got a heavy one for y'all, right? Why Keefe D's story about Diddy hiring him to murder Tupac and Suge Knight won't get Diddy arrested in his upcoming trial, right? And there's a couple of reasons, right? Like I said, this case has everybody talking, and everybody will begin to talk, like I said, as Diddy is about to be sentenced. And then a couple of months from there, Keefe D, the murder of Tupac Shakur, a trial will start, right? But the reality, hearsay, speculation, and street rumors don't always hold weight in the court of law. And today, I'm going to break it down, right? I'm going to break it down fact by fact so you understand why this story might not have the outcome that some people expect it to, right? Because a lot of people be like, you know, yeah, Diddy should be X, Y, and Z, so on and so forth. Like I said, once again, I don't try cases. I'm not a prosecutor. I'm not the police. I'm sitting here simply dealing with the facts and the information that's available that we know about in regards to have this, this straight game conversation with you, right? So the background context, right? Let's start with some basics. Keefe D, also known as Dwayne Davis, is facing trial for his alleged role in the murder of Tupac Shakur in 1996. Now, One of the wildest claims floating around, right, ladies and gentlemen, for years, is that Sean Diddy Combs supposedly hired Keefe D and his crew to take out both Tupac and Suge Knight. This narrative got pushed heavy in interviews, books, and on the street corners and throughout hip hop, ladies and gentlemen, right? But here's the key question. Here's the key question, or should I say, one of the only questions in regards to that statement. Can that claim get Diddy arrested today? And the short answer is no. And here's why, right? So first of all, when you deal with something like this and somebody's saying something like that, right? It's basically, it boils down to not what we think, how we feel, how I feel, how you feel, but the simple fact of lack of evidence, right? In the courtroom, hearsay does not fly. It does not apply. Keefe D saying Diddy told me this is not hard evidence, right? There's no recording, no written agreement, no eyewitnesses, testimony that can independently prove this conversation ever happened, right? Prosecutors can't build a federal case on speculation. If they could, half of the industry would be behind bars right now. Or a lot of other people would be behind bars right now, if you will, from that perspective, right? And then you have to deal with the basic overall situation and how Keefe D has changed his story. You know, I wasn't in Vegas. They can't put me in Vegas. They don't have the murder weapon. They don't have the white Cadillac. You know what I mean? They don't have me on film. I wasn't in Vegas. I wasn't there, right? To now having new counsel and now saying that, you know what? I'm back to the original story that I told Greg Kading and I told the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department. You know what? Yeah, Diddy, put me up to it. Like I said, $1 million, $500,000, put a hit on Suge. We met at Greenblatt's, and so on and so forth. And we discussed it. And this, that, and the other happened. And the Vegas situation happened. It was a 2-for-1. All of the things that Keefe D has said in interviews and in his book, right? Right. So now, the other aspect of that would be the credibility of the source, right? Let's be real. Keefe D's credibility is shaky. He admitted his involvement in different ways over the years, sometimes contradicting himself, right? His story changed depending on the platform or depending on legal representation, as I just mentioned, right? A defense attorney would eat that up in court, ladies and gentlemen. Like I said, and we seen what happened in the Diddy trial involving Cassie and Jane and all of the other things and the racketeering. They were trying to do all of that. You seen the kind, he had 10 lawyers. You know what I mean? He had 10 lawyers. So you seen the kind of representation. And I, talked about this before, right? Like I said, a real true defense attorney would eat that up in court. They'd say, you expect us to believe a man trying to save his own skin? That destroys reliability before it even gets to the jury. Point blank, period. It destroys reliability, credibility before it even gets to the jury, ladies and gentlemen. And so, like I said, people always say to me, like, yeah, they hope that, I don't hope anything. I hope that that hope doesn't have to be hoped upon, and the facts and the evidence reveal what really happened. And like I said, once again, Keefe D's statements against himself, more importantly, and what he said over time, we're going to have to wait to see what the jury thinks about that. Even the situation involving Sean P. Diddy Combs, if they choose to use the statement from 2008, because I believe they are going to use the statement from 2009. I believe that Keefe D basically mentioned the same thing. From that perspective, right? And also, ladies and gentlemen, the statute of limitations and legal strategy also. Another major factor, the statute of limitation doesn't apply to murder, right? But conspiracy allegations, listen, ladies and gentlemen, we know statute of limitations, right, does not apply to murder. Like I said, you could be 100 years old, committed a murder when you was 19, and they found out you did it. They come in and charge you like it happened yesterday. Right? But conspiracy allegations from the 1990s are another story. Even if prosecutors wanted to connect Diddy, they'd have to prove ongoing, actionable involvement, not just an old tale from the streets or from Keefe D from that perspective, right? So once again, if you understand that, you're going to understand that also. And let's not forget, Diddy has, once again, I told you, Diddy has top legal representation. You think they ain't ready to challenge every piece of so-called evidence? That man's lawyers will make sure the jury sees every crack in Keefe D's testimony. Point blank, period. So, like I said, I don't know how that would work. And we're just talking about facts as to how things really work out. Like I said, if people didn't believe it before, when I tried to tell them, doing the Diddy, before the Diddy situation happened, I was like, it was like, Diddy done. I'm like, man, look, it's one thing to say one thing, to make an allegation or statement, or even charge somebody in charging documents, right? But it's another thing when you get in that courtroom and you got to stand up for what you're saying. We've seen the lawyers catch people in lies, inconsistencies, try to place people places that they weren't, and all of those things, right? And I guess Keefe D can only hope that his attorneys can do the same for him in some capacity, other than what he's already testified to in incriminating himself. So from that perspective, right? Now, you also have the public opinion versus courtroom reality, right? See, the court of public opinion already convicted Diddy in the minds of some fans, especially of Tupac fans. But the real courtroom, it don't work like that. Like I told you before, judges don't care about YouTube rumors or barbershop talk. You know what I mean? They simply don't care about that. It's just a whole nother arena, and there's different rules that apply, right? Unless prosecutors bring forward tangible evidence, documents, recordings, corroborating witnesses, this story about Diddy hiring Keefe D will remain just that, a story, right? So like I said, once again, I thought I had to do this video because a lot of people, and I understand, like I said, I had love for Tupac, you know what I mean, and all of those things, but, what I feel and what the facts are, what can be proven versus what I think I know are two different things. You know what I mean? And like I said, we could talk about it, and until we blue in the face. But once again, the law doesn't work that way, unfortunately, right? So ladies and gentlemen, let's not get caught up in the hype, right? Keefe D's trial is about his role in the murder of Tupac, ladies and gentlemen, right? Keefe D, it's about his role, not Diddy's. Unless something new drops, and I mean real evidence, Diddy ain't about to get arrested based on Keefe D's word alone. You can count on that. So like I said, ladies and gentlemen, stay tuned. Like I said, we ain't gonna do nothing here, but just give you straight game and deal with the facts accordingly, ladies and gentlemen. Like I said, once again, I appreciate your time. Do me a favor, subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, and yeah, stay tuned. Your boy Delray, straight gang.
They said Tupac was untouchable, but behind the walls of Rikers Island, he was just a man, wounded, watching his back, and wondering who he could trust. He survived bullets, betrayal, and isolation behind bars. But what happened inside those walls has never been told until now. In the darkest corner of Rikers, he found betrayal and a brotherhood no one saw coming. These dudes smiled in my face, then flipped and tried to kill me, and I never saw it coming. They were Puff's security, Biggie's muscle, Henchman's people, and Tupac knew exactly who sent them. This is the side of Tupac Shakur the world never got to see, told by the man who lived it with him, not in the studio, but in a 6x9 cell. The rap battles, sex and drama with female guards, the tears, the silence after Jada Pinkett's visit, and the moment Tupac almost broke. Before Death Row, before All Eyes on Me, before Machiavelli, there was Rikers. Behind the walls with Tupac Shakur, Available now on Amazon. Get your copy. Learn the truth.